Well, hello everybody out there, and welcome to another episode of Movie Passion, the little series where I talk about movies that I'm really passionate about. And yes, those aren't always mainstream movies or big blockbuster movies. Sometimes it's also small indie movies, like in this case. So I want to talk about The Fair. And just to be clear, I'm talking about this movie and not this one. That's kind of weird and confusing that there are two movies with the same title. And the stupidest thing is that both of these movies came out in the exact same year. How many times does that happen? How many times do you have two completely different movies with the same title that also came out in the exact same year? This is something that probably doesn't really happen that often. So yeah, it's this movie that I want to talk about. And I think I want to divide this video into two different parts. So the first part is the normal part, and the second part is what I would call the spoiler part. So let's start off by talking about what this movie is all about, what is going on. Well, this movie is about this guy named Harris, and he is obviously a cab driver, and he's driving around in the middle of nowhere to pick up this beautiful woman that is Penny. So that's his fare. And yeah, they drive around and they talk, and then something happens. It's never really explained or revealed what exactly it is that happens, if he hits a pothole or if the car is getting struck by lightning. But something happens, all the lights go out, and after the lights go back on, Penny is gone. So, of course, Harris is pretty confused and shocked and doesn't know what to do. So he decides that he wants to drive back, and he resets the meter, but by doing so, he kind of resets time. So he jumps back to the point where he's on his way to pick up Penny. And he doesn't really seem to remember a lot of it. He seems to remember a few small details here and there, but definitely not everything. So Penny gets into the car and they drive around and they talk about pretty much the same things. And then the thing happens again. But this time Penny hits her head and she starts bleeding. So, it's also this, I think, what is it called? Is it the separator? So that gets also destroyed. And yeah, like I said, Penny gets hurt and he grabs her hand and he says her name. But this time she didn't tell him her name. So he clearly remembered her. And this is also the reason why it changes from black and white to color, because he remembered her. Because before, everything that was happening inside the cab was shot in black and white. But every time he remembers Penny, everything turns to color. But if he starts to forget about her, it turns back to black and white. So yeah, he remembers Penny. And as it turns out, Penny also remembered Harris, but she has always been remembering Harris, but he just didn't remember her. And it is also being revealed that he drove on this road and picked up Penny at least 100 times. And this is probably one of the first times where he actually remembers her. So the question is, why does he remember her? Well, maybe it's because this separator thing broke and now he managed to grab her hand and physically touch her. Or maybe it also has something to do with the fact that she got hurt and that this was kind of like shocking for him. So it's probably a mix of both things. Penny getting hurt and him being able to physically touch Penny for probably the first time. So yeah, as it turns out, Penny remembered Harris all the time, but he didn't remember Penny. But now they both kind of remember each other, and they try to figure out what exactly it is that is going on and how to break the cycle. So it is kind of similar to Groundhog Day. Yeah, but in Groundhog Day, you have one person, Phil, reliving the same day over and over again without anybody else around him remembering anything. But here we have two people reliving the same 20 minutes over and over again. And they now both remember, and they try to figure out how to break the cycle. And yeah, but there is a huge difference between the fair and Groundhog Day. You see, in Groundhog Day, Phil manages to break the cycle by becoming the best version of him that he could possibly be, and also by doing the most amount of good that he could possibly do within those 24 hours. But it is never being revealed or explained how it all happened or why it even happened in the first place. So that still remains a mystery. But in the fair, it's actually being revealed why it all happens. And that's a very, very interesting thing, and also a very, how should I say it, brave thing to do, because you have to make sure that the explanation is good. Because if the explanation isn't good enough, it could ruin the entire movie. You know, it's kind of like Stephen King's It. It's a great story, the miniseries was great, the remake, the movies weren't so great. But yeah, it's a great story, but to reveal that Pennywise is basically nothing more than just some kind of a big spider-like monster that just uses the form of a clown to lure children, that kind of destroys the entire story. It would have been a lot better and a lot more creepy if that detail would have never been revealed, that Pennywise is just this spider-like creature. That destroys the story. So imagine you would watch a movie like The Fair, and yeah, they relive the same 20 minutes over and over again, and then in the end it turns out that it was all just a dream. You know, Harris got into a car accident and he's in a coma, and now he has been dreaming it all the time. That would have been a really stupid explanation, very boring, and it would have destroyed the entire movie, you know, and you wouldn't think about this movie twice. But the good thing is that this is not the reason why it happens. So why does it happen? What is going on? Does it have something to do with those weird time-traveling aliens that they are talking about on the radio? No. It also has nothing to do with time-traveling aliens. So, yeah, the thing is, I can't really talk that much about this movie without spoiling too much. So that's where we enter the spoiler part of the movie, or of this video. So what is going on? Like I already said, that Penny remembered Harris long before Harris started to remember Penny. So Penny basically already knows what it is that is going on and what's causing all this. As it turns out, Penny is married. But she isn't just married to somebody, she is married to the Grim Reaper. Yes, Penny is married to Death himself. And it was apparently some kind of an arranged marriage, and that also explains why she is totally unhappy and why she can't just divorce him. Yeah, so she's married to Death himself. And every year she does this trip where she travels from the world of the dead to the world of the living to kind of get away from her husband. And on one of those trips, she met Harris, and they had some kind of an affair with each other. And it's never really explained or revealed how long this affair lasted. Because, yeah, they say that Penny does this trip every year. So it is very unlikely that this affair went on for more than a year. But we don't know. But yeah, they had an affair, and then Harris died in a car accident. And from that point on, he was forced to work for death as the ferryman. So what does it mean? Well, it basically means that he or his job is to help recently deceased people to cross from the world of the living to the world of the dead. So he is kind of like the modern day version of Charon or Charon. I don't really know how to pronounce it. But yeah, it has something to do with Greek mythology. You see, in Greek mythology, it is said that for recently deceased people, in order to cross over from the world of the living to the world of the dead, they also have to cross a river called Styx. And to help those people to cross this river, there is this guy, Charon, I don't know how to pronounce it, but there is this guy who helps those people to cross that river. But to help them, they have to pay a toll. So it is said that they would put coins inside of recently deceased people's mouths. So in the afterlife, they could pay the toll to cross this river. And that's basically what Harris does, because they also pay him with a coin every time he helped them to cross to the world of the dead. And yeah, this is also where things start to get kind of weird in a way, because it is being revealed that it's not always the same 20 minutes. Those are always different 20 minutes. And there is always this gap between those 20 minutes. And that gap is 1 year. And when you now think about the fact that he drove this road and he picked up Penny over 100 times, and there is always 1 year in between each time, this means that he has been doing it for over 100 years. That's pretty crazy. And the thing is that he always just remembered Penny because of the water. So Penny put the water there so that Harris would drink the water, and by drinking the water, it kind of made him forget the rest of the year and all the other passengers that he drove before he picked up Penny. So yeah, it is a very interesting plot, so to say, and very unique. Yeah, and it's one of those movies that you can't watch a second time without having the same feeling that you had when you first watched the movie. So it's kind of like watching Fight Club the second time. It's a completely different experience because you know what's going on. And that's the same thing with The Fair. And yeah, it's a really interesting movie. And yeah, many people say that it kind of reminds them of an episode of The Twilight Zone. And yeah, it definitely feels that way. But in The Twilight Zone, a lot of weird things happen, but they are never really revealed because, they just happen because this is the Twilight Zone. but here we have a real explanation why it happens. So yeah, it is a really good movie for a low budget indie movie, and yeah, it just shows you that it is more important to have a good and interesting story instead of having a lot of money to make a big budget movie. So yeah, that's it. I hope you like this video. I hope you like the movie. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I see you in the next episode of Movie Passion, or maybe in the next totally random video, whatever this is going to be. So thanks for watching, and I see you in the next one. Bye.